Hey everybody, it's X, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today we're going to be playing another Premier Draft of Edge of Eternities. Without further ado, let's get into the draft. For our pack one, pick one here, we've got a Starwinder, which is a pretty fun rare. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you can draw that many cards. It is a 7 mana 7/7 with no evasion, so it's not the easiest for it to hit your opponent and draw the cards, but that's a really solid ability. Warping it on turn 4, sometimes you might be able to get some cards off of it on that turn if you have good attacks. Otherwise, it seems like a pretty powerful rare, and it ties us only to one color, so it's relatively flexible too. I think it's a reasonable pick here. I wouldn't be surprised though, because it doesn't have any evasion or anything, and it is such a late game play, if just a great removal spell like Orbital Plunge is a little bit better, or something like the Circuit Feeder, that could be a big late game flyer and a removal spell, but we'll see. We'll lead with the Starwinder. We haven't gotten to play around with that one yet. Pick 2, this pack does not have a lot going for it. There's a Virus Beetle for one of Black's best commons. Reasonable filler Warp Creature in green. The best card here is the Signpost Uncommon, the green-red card, Tinook. Might be worth speculating on that, or like a Survey Mechan that really wants you to have a bunch of different colors to get to sacrificing it more easily. Yeah, there's Virus Beetle and there's two pretty narrow uncommons. Not the juiciest pack, that's for sure. I'll go a little speculative here. We'll take the Tinook here. Pick number 3, one of the best cards here is the red removal spell, Orbital Plunge, one of my favorite removal spells in the set. Blows something else up and also gives you a lander token to give you some good value, particularly in decks that care about landfall like green-red. So I like the Plunge here. It'll work great if we're green-red. It also helps with the lander token to ramp up into a 7-drop like Starwinder. There's certainly other reasonable options here, like the Infiltrator, if you prefer that kind of low-to-the-ground blue-white double spell deck, but I'm going to take the Orbital Plunge here. See if we can't get somewhere in the Temur ramp direction. Pick 4, Scrapbot is the most flexible of these cards. 3 mana, 3/1, just trade it off into their early attacker plus get a lander token. You can do that no matter what colors you end up in. So I do like the idea of that. That would help us in any of these directions. That said, Land Seeker, if you are guaranteed to be in red, could be a little bit better. The stat line of a 4 mana 4/3 Menace is better, but that lander token, you can only use it for a little bit. I think these are both really nice, and it's between the two for me. Pick number 5, this looks like a solid draft pod to be in red. The best cards here are the red commons. Honestly, Landseeker could be a little bit better than Plasma Bolt in a vacuum, but I think this kind of deck can use those really cheap removal spells to fend off any really aggressive decks like blue-white and white-red, because we tend to get the ball rolling a lot later. The best cards for these green-red decks tend to not show up until at least turn 3. Then you can play like your 3/3 that makes a lander token. So the early game, like 1-drops and 2-drops, you usually just want cheap removal or ramp, like Gene Pollinator. Really happy to see that. Pick number 6, our good friend Gene. This looks like an excellent start to Temur ramp nonsense. Pick 7 now. Curiosity for really filler lander token ramp. Again, much happier with any of the creatures that come with lander tokens or removal spells that come with lander tokens. There's enough ways to cast spells that are already doing something that also come with a lander to where I'm not a fan of literally just get a lander and that's the only thing the spell does. So I'd rather, I think, speculate a little bit here towards Selfcraft Mechan. It's a very good way to use extra lander tokens in the late game in this kind of deck. I do like it better in heavier blue decks, like blue-red artifacts and blue-white are really good spots for this, where you just run some of the cheap expendable artifacts that draw you cards when you sacrifice them, but it could still be playable here. This is an easy bombard, pick number 8, although Invasive Maneuvers is nice as well, but we have no Spacecraft at all right now, and there aren't a whole ton of good Spacecraft in the set, weirdly enough. Pick number 9, Pinnacle Killship's a perfectly playable one. It gives us something to ramp into, and technically it is instantly stationable off of a 7/7 like a Starwinder. So we could go Killship and then next turn cast a Starwinder, station it, attack, draw 7 cards. That's kind of cute. There's also some cheap counter spells here and a tri-land, basically. I think Almost all the picks from that last pack would have been reasonable. This pack's pretty mediocre. We'll just take the filler counter. Pick 11, Fungal Colossus. The more splashy you're getting, the cheaper it can be, which can help you stabilize in the late game by having this only cost 3 or 4 mana. You could play this and like a 2 or 3 mana removal spell in the same turn to really catch up. We are not going to be heavy green enough for that rare, and it's probably pretty bad if it's going that late. Pack 2, pick 1. I'm not a massive fan of any of these cards. There's several fine options like Siege Ship Impact or Plasma Bolt, as well as the Sledge class Siege Ship. If we manage to get this fully stationed early, this can be pretty explosive. Get our Starwinder out for free. I think Siege Ship has the highest potential upside. It's the coolest of the cards. We'll grab that here. It honestly might not be completely unreasonable to take like a vote out either and go really splashy off the lander tokens. Pick 2, some good on-color removal like Bombard or Pain for All. There's also the excellent ramp like Gene Pollinator to get us going early. Desculpting Blast is also really nice interaction. There is a lot we could play around with in this pack. I think I'm just going pretty hard on the ramp here. Like another Pollinator. The more colors we dabble into, the easier it's going to be for us to pick up interaction later. So let's grab the Pollinator. Third Pollinator. Gene.deck could be fun. This is getting to be a potentially reasonable survey mech in deck as well. Nebula Dragon's a fine card to ramp into, although I do have Starwinder, Colossus, and Killship already. And it's still somewhat early, not even halfway through pack 2 yet. So not halfway through the draft yet. I'm going to go deep on Gene Pollinator. This will be the Gene Pollinator deck today. Zookeeper Mechan's another early card that can ramp into big stuff, but the Psionicist can also get us some cost reductions. It requires us to double spell to do it, which is much better in a more aggressive low curve deck than this kind of splashy ramp deck, but it can still get us some reductions. Say like turn 4 we play a 1 mana Plasma Bolt and then get to play a 4-drop alongside it a lot easier. Still think there is a lot of potential upside to the Psionicist, so I'm going to take it over the Mechan here when we have 3 1-mana Mana-Dorks. That makes the 2-mana Mana-Dork just a little bit less appealing. Pick number 5, there's a Plasma Bolt there for another really cheap removal spell that can help us double spell for Psionicist, or the Nutrient Block's another really cheap spell, gains us a little bit of life and draws us a card in the early game, so it gives us something to do early. And it's something to tap for our Gene Pollinators, and it's something to help us double spell with Psionicist, and it's something to sack to the Mechan. I think this could be a very solid spot for a Nutrient Block. Pick 6, I like Germinating Worm when we have a really powerful spacecraft like the Siege Ship that can come down early, and is generally pretty hard to get fully stationed. Getting a warp for 5 power really early can help that. Plus, this is just a fine card. Helps you stabilize by gaining you a couple life when you slam down your 5/5. Pick number 7. It's Command Bridge again. That's reasonable. An early Death Toucher, because I have no 2-drops, would also make some sense. I like the Land Seeker a lot. Getting that Lander token is huge. I'm going to go Land Seeker here. But 3 very reasonable options out of that pack. Here's a Thawbringer. White was really open this pod. We could have had like a 5 Night Luminary deck and been the absolute go wide pile. I suppose Meltstrider's gear goes up a little bit in value with Triple Pollinator, but it still seems pretty bad to me. I'll just take a Shattered Wings. I'll probably end up cutting either card I end up taking there. Torpedo as well. Super Filler almost always cut it, but Triple Pollinator makes that maybe a little more interesting than Divert Disaster. There's a Nebula Dragon to ramp into. For a 2-for-1 Stabilizer, there's a Turbo Drone, which does randomly synergize with Warp. Companion, somewhat reasonable as a choice as well, considering we have no 2-mana plays. Alright, pack 3, pick 1. Another great late-game Spacecraft. Help stabilize, slows our opponent down with a double bounce, and gives us a really big blocker potentially. I do like that. And I think that's the pick. If we're really lucky, we wheel the Germinating Worm. I think we're quite to a Pinnacle Emissary deck, although that'd be really fun. There's 11 artifacts here. That does require us to play Torpedoes, though. Like some of our really filler cards. Emissary's the coolest of these cards. Let's go for it. Cryogen Relic is another artifact spell to go with Pinnacle Emissary. That's a good card to sacrifice to go with Self-Craft Mechan and just a reasonable card in the first place. I like the amount of synergy that has, but Plasma Bolt is also quite reasonable as a pick. Throw our removal spells into this curve. Just 6 mana. Probably a Cut Propulsion here, another cheap removal spell. Tenderfoot, just a filler 2/2 to trade off is also fine. Or Divert Disaster, filler 2 mana counterspell. We have nothing else to do that turn. But I'll take the Cut Propulsion here. Pick 4. All the Plasma Bolts. So our plan can just be turn 1 Pollinator, turn 2 Plasma Bolt or Divert Disaster. And then we get into the game turn 3 and onward. Plan. Siege Ship Impact is also pretty efficient interaction. I like the Scan Ship. I don't think we got like the million warp cards we really want to get that going, though. I've got, I think, a little bit too few big creatures for the third Spacecraft without spending more picks on big creatures. Pick 5, another Cryogen Relic. There's also a Gigastorm Titan for a cheap 4/4 if we double spell the turn we play it, but I'll take another Cryogen Relic. Something filler out of this pack. We will take triple Gene Pollinator. Well, I'm actually going to try Sammy's Curiosity. Definitely better in a deck that has triple Pollinator than most decks. Cryo Shatter is another fine cheap removal spell, since we don't have much in terms of actual creatures in the first couple turns. Thoughtbringer is really good at stationing the couple Spacecraft we have, but Nutrient Block has artifact synergies, Mechan synergies, double spell synergies. So, wish I took a little bit more top end here, but outside of that, I think this deck is looking real solid. This be a pretty fun one. Pretty different from what we've been playing lately as well. It's just been a whole bunch of white-based aggro stuff. Finally get back into that green splashy area. 15 creatures and some Spacecraft. And drop this Turbo Drone. A lot of good interaction. We can cut some of the more narrow stuff. Could tap Cryo Shatter with Gene Pollinator as well, which is hilarious. So I've got Cryo Shatter, double Nutrient Block, a couple Cryogen Relics sitting on the board. I feel like we've got really good Pollinator fuel without the Curiosity. Even. Still have to cut 4 more cards. Skip over 2 drops here. Play Pollinators and removal spells in the first couple turns. Cheap little draw spells. There's 4 2-mana draw ones. This could be a creature light deck. I think that'd be fine. Yeah, maybe Psionicist doesn't quite get there. Colossus and a 3-drop. Then the creature count's getting really low. Need one of these spells. 1 Nutrient Block. Still double Relic, Cryo Shatter, and 1 block. For early permanents, we tap with the Pollinator. Sure, we'll go 1 block here. Alright, very interesting Teamer ramp pile. We'll see how it all plays out for us as we hop into gameplay. Alright, here we are. For game number 1 on the draw, no green source in the opener is awkward, but we're running more green sources than any of the other colors. I decided on a 8-5-4 split. There's 8 forests left in the deck and only 6 blue or red sources. We've got a piece of card draw with Nutrient Block. Emissary's going to spit out a flyer here, and we have an early removal spell. It's a bit risky, but I will keep this. There's an early Cryo Shatter to help us as well. Blue-black from our opponent should not be the fastest archetype ever. As it's the time we need to draw into that green mana, hopefully. Grav Pack Monoist. Pretty happy to have the Emissary against that. These little tokens can block flyers. And then we don't really get 2 for 1 for the fact that they get a token back. Because our token was also basically free. Vote out the Pinnacle Emissary, fair enough. Snap trade. Hit our 4th mana, but still no green. We could just double activate Relic here. Draw towards that green source. Yep, that's fair enough. Better to gain the life here, or just stun for 2. I'm stunning 2 damage versus gaining 3 life. So I'll just do the gain 3. Draw a 7-drop, but still no green mana yet. Lots of removal. We can deal with the 2/2 and 2 other threats, so we still have time. Not to mention we could just stun it for now. Vocalist. Vocalist has a very good ability. Which is awkward because it dodges all of our removal. It's tremendously threatening. It has a good ability, so Cryo Shatter doesn't work. It has more toughness than power, so Cut Propulsion doesn't work. And it has more than 3 toughness, so Plasma Bolt doesn't work. Yeah, that's pretty bad for us, but not a lot I can do about it. I mean, I could 2 for 1 myself to hope to prevent a 2 for 1 from our opponent. But since we missed our land drop, I think at that point it's better to just try to dig for it. And we did find the land. Not only that, we have finally found the green source. Surveil towards land 6, work our way towards kill ship. If I run out a Gene Pollinator and they don't kill it, then there's a chance we get to play kill ship next turn if I top deck the land. If I play Thawbringer and Surveil into a land, I'm still not playing kill ship next turn. I think Pollinator's pretty reasonable. I mean, I guess Thawbringer also stops the damage for the turn. That's close. I'll go for the Thawbringer, I guess, in the end. That was land 6. Oh, right. For Gene Pollinator, I don't actually have another permanent to tap for the kill ship mana anyway, because I just sacked my Cryogen Relic, so that actually wouldn't work. If we did play Gene Pollinator, we still couldn't play kill ship next turn without putting another permanent on this board. So if I really wanted to gamble on playing kill ship this next turn, then I would have to... okay, luckily that Vocalist combo is not that good. They'd have to sack the Mechan itself for a second card. But anyways, I'd have to play Pollinator and Cryo Shatter something that I don't really care about Cryo Shattering. Just so I have the Cryo Shatter as a permanent to tap to Pollinator. Cool, so there's the land 6. Which means that we are on our way to the kill ship for sure off of Gene Pollinator. The creatures are still lining up pretty awkwardly into our removal. I don't mind trading Thawbringer for the Mechan, and if they don't accept that trade, a Cryo Shatter to stop it from hitting me. Again, because I'm saving kill ship for the Vocalist. I don't want to Cryo Shatter the Vocalist, even if it does hit a little harder. So they take the 4 here. Here's Tanook, then Landfall. Play the Pollinator, and play that Cryo Shatter. Awkward if they have a second Self-Craft mech and those cards play with each other pretty well. Just loop them together. So as of now, Starfield Vocalist has technically not double-triggered anything. So we've dodged its bonus value, and that stays the same. They got no Vocalist value before we blow it up with a kill ship here. It is still their largest creature, and it has the best ability by a lot. So I'm happy to kill ship it here. Okay, then we have all the cheap red removal for their flying threats. I don't like how much I have to tap out of here to do this, but gotta do this. "13 life, I don't think I can afford to tap Thawbringer to station the kill ship. Because it is holding off the Gigastorm Titan if they don't play another removal spell. Next turn, once all this is untapped, and tap everybody else towards stationing kill ship. That's very strong. They get to save their Self-Craft Mechan from our enchantment removal, and then play the turn after this to just exile our biggest threat. The double Oblivion Ring style ability. Kind of a mix between a Flicker and an Oblivion Ring. I guess the first one isn't actually Oblivion Ring, it's a Flicker to save somebody. Or just to like redo and enter the battlefield effect. Very easy trade there. Got the Nebula Dragon mana. I don't think I'll be casting it next turn. I don't really want to kill Monoist with it. Actually, I guess I will be casting it next turn because I can kill a Stalker with a Plasma Bolt later. Or Bombard if I don't get to Void. Yeah, that's pretty reasonable. So they're going to exile Tanook here. Or they have to depressurize. They play all Fate Stalker. I think they have to just exile Gene Pollinator at this point, because their other effect is so good. 15 Self-Craft Mechans dot deck. Is that not the third copy? How is that the second one? I'm losing it. So I could cast all 3 of these. So I can kill their blocker and deal 3 to their face, so they're at 10, but I can't station the kill ship without tapping out of the dragon, so I can only hit for 8. So I put them to 10 and then hit for 8, put them to 2, and I do not kill them in one swing here. So I think I have to finish the station on the kill ship. And then just pass. Ready to blow up the Fate Stalker. But if they have like a destroy target artifact or enchantment kind of thing, that's going to be brutal. They're dead in 2 kill ship swings. Attacking here forces them to kill this. If they don't just kill me. It would kill me with a counter spell on one of these removals. Because I have to throw 2 removal spells at a single mechan. I guess they'd have to kill the Pollinator and get both mechans through. I'm going in. Has to be removal plus protection against our removal. And it has to be these 2 cards, because if one of the cards is All Fate Stalker, then I just kill the All Fate Stalker, get the Pollinator back, and trump one of the 2. They try to All Fate Stalker a kill ship, that's really good for us. Cup Propulsion is lined up really, really awkwardly this match, though. All their most important abilities again on all the 4 or 5 toughness style cards. I feel like they might be trying to kill me with something that makes me lose a life out of nowhere. In ETB, each opponent loses life. I guess we'll find out, because I don't want to have to spend both of these and then just not have anything to deal with the Stalker. Because I have no way to trigger Void next turn. I kill it before the ability resolves, then kill ship remains on board and is not summoning sick. If I instead wait till it happens, then I get the kill ship back and blow somebody up. I think it's better to try to go for instant lethal by having it not get exiled in the first place. But there is a risk to that, to where if they have multiple removal spells, it's better to wait until the Stalker's ability resolves and then kill it. But it looks like that is not the case. Because I guess, yeah, if we're considering them having multiple removal spells, if that were the case, they would have killed the Pollinator before they attacked. And also thrown the Fate Stalker as a backup plan. Whew. Close game there, ending it at 1 life, but we do find the victory. We start things off 1-0. Alright, here we are on the play for game 2. We have a Gene Pollinator to start it off. And then nothing for a very long time, so we definitely need to draw some mid-range spells, but if you've seen our mana curve, you know our deck is almost entirely like 3 mana plays in the middle here. Reroute my Pollinator, very rude of you. It is worth noting there is the common white removal spell only deals damage to attackers or blockers. And there's that uncommon that I forgot about that also only shoots tapped creatures. So it could have been worth just sitting on the Pollinator against white mana. More to play around Focus Fire than reroute systems, because Focus Fire is an actual common. But still, I got punished for not playing around the common by a completely different card. Because now we're stuck off blue mana and our draws are very bad. More uncastable nonsense. Alright, cool. This is white aggro for you. It just kind of eats these slower lander tokeny kind of decks if they stumble at all, and we certainly stumbled with this opening hand. Yep, alright, I'm good there. Servandum is one of the strongest aggro cards in the whole format. I am happy. Move on, I got a lot more games to record today. Alright, here we are for game number 3. Pretty mid opener. Beam Saw. Prospector starts things for our opponent. Draw off of the relic, see where that gets us. We are on the draw here. Very bad for a slower deck like ours. Very bad for any deck. The slower decks, because if your opponent's aggressive at all, you get really punished, and the quicker decks, because you want to get that momentum of being on the play to punish your opponents. Yep, 1 mana removal for our blocker. Attack both, that's 2 tapped creatures for the War Rager. Plunge that Rager away, just take 2 a turn for a little bit. Lander tokens set up to double activate, get towards kill ship here. If we're only going to take another 2 to 5 damage on the next swing, that'll be worth it. If they play 4 or more power worth of creatures this turn, that might be a little sketchy. Yeah, like Turbo Drone. It's only 2 power on board, but it means their 5 drop is going to have haste. So I could definitely see it being much safer to just play mech in here and have a 4-5 blocker up. But that makes it take a long time to kill ship, but that's probably okay, because we'll have cut propulsion the turn after this. Crack some landers, play a cut propulsion. We got double Plasma Bolt in this deck, so I'm going to hold a red up. If we draw a Plasma Bolt, this will be an incredible turn. And we are drawing 2. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And now we get Tanook before we crack any landers. Draw maximum amount of cards off him as well. This is going to be a huge game for 2 for 1 value. Cannot kill Skywarden yet, but I certainly can off the kill ship the turn after this. Starwinder coming up. That can station the kill ship off of just that 1 creature. There's their Mock Site to do some digging. Molecular Modifier for first strike swings. Ups their attacks a lot. I think I have enough value in this hand to throw away the Mechan to not be at 6. That is a huge chunk of life when I'm down to 12 already. Still have the lands in hand to play a land and crack a lander next turn, so I don't think I need to hold on to this land. Could be in a situation where I need a million mana. Ooh, Anti-Causal Vestige, great. Colorless spell. Draw a card. If it's a permanent, they put it right into play here. Just a mountain, but it does go straight into play. Plasma Bolt's a good draw. Let's deal with the modifier. I think that's fair. Might be overkill to just kill everything on their current board. But it lets me do some Starwinder nonsense, which I think is just like an auto win. So I'm going to do Starwinder nonsense. draw 9 cards here. Yeah, I don't know how they went after that. Like, unless I just go overkill and mill myself. Yeah, they just concede there. Huge work from Starwinder. And that makes it a lot safer to just expend that removal willy-nilly, because if we're about to draw 9 cards, we'll probably have a backup removal spell after all that. Jeez. Insane end to that game. We are 2-1 now, heading into game 4. Here we are on the play for game number 4. Another slower opener. Basically, any opener we have that doesn't have a gene pollinator in it is going to be slow, which is why it's pretty good we have 3 gene pollinators, but 3 is not enough to have them in every single opening hand. So this will be a couple in a row without them. White deck, that's going to be a pretty aggressive deck where I don't actually mind just bombarding the drone immediately, but I think I'm going to scrap bot still. And go for a stun plus crack a lander next turn if we draw into one of our great high mana value plays, but I already have 7 lands total drawn this game. So if I don't immediately draw a really expensive spell, I'm not going to have a lot to do. Okay, Cryo Shatter is the draw. Not the most impressive here. Don't hate casting it right now. Cast install the Bombard up. Yeah. Just slow down the mono white aggro deck. They're probably on a secondary color, they just haven't drawn it yet. That's all the info we have so far. Crack our lander token if we don't need to bombard anybody, which we probably won't, but we'll see. They are indeed green-white aggro. Has one of the best 2-color uncommons in the set, which is pretty scary. If they get the 5 mana 3/3 that puts a +1/+1 counter on the board, draws a card every time they hit us with a countered up creature, that'd be pretty gnarly. That does nothing. Okay, goodbye, Coordinator. Oh no, they just, I guess, get the indestructibility through that, which is cute. But it's just 1 turn of indestructibility still, and I'm okay with them putting the drone counter on that. It's still a 0/5. Okay. Weird turn, but okay all around. As they get to gain the life off of casting that. Stun the only creature that matters and see what we draw. It's a good one. It's a good one right there. I think there's enough like gigantic green creatures that have even power and toughness to hold on to cut propulsion over bombard. I feel like there's more stuff that we could run into that we could not bombard than stuff that we couldn't cut propulsion, but we'll see. It really depends. There are definitely some, as we saw last game, some cards with higher toughness than power that we wouldn't be able to touch. Hello, Starwinder. Hit him up with the Wombo combo again. Kill ship first, so that next turn, the kill ship will not have summoning sickness. I can cast the Starwinder, hit them for 7, draw 7, because I'm sending in a flyer. I probably should have played this land in case they played a flyer this turn. I could cut propulsion before I untap. Alright. Yeah, let's just see. Let's see what removal they got. If it ain't big enough, they sure do lose. Starwinder, Pinnacle, Killship, Wombo combo. Feels good. That is a juicy amount of card draw. Some cheap spells to get out of my hand so I don't have to discard as much. Go to the end step, just discard one card here. Feels great. They have one card in hand and one big XX. They play the XX as a 5/5. They're still taking 7 in the sky. I can draw 7 if I want. Do I have any way to kill this Broodguard Elite? I can cut Propulsion. They put all the counters on Coordinator. Still have a big blocker on the ground. They're already not big enough for Starwinder, though, so we just send in the 2 and see what happens. Okay. Just gonna move the stuff over for a chump block with Coordinator. Don't think they're gonna have any mill spells, so I will draw these and ditch all of the lands here. Okay. I maximize the amount of spells I'm casting here. Start with Pinnacle Emissary. Cast some artifacts. Gene Pollinator, Nutrient Block, Cryogen Relic, Plasma Bolt to face, ditch a bunch of lands, and we are so set up here. Like, even through a board wipe, what are they going to do? Wipe the board, and then I still have a full grip of 7. That's almost all spells. I have to not draw cards off of Starwinder anymore, but that's fine. There's the Banishing Light. Far too late to stop the Starwinder shenanigans. They just deal with the flyer. On board, they block Starwinder and take lethal from everybody else. So I'll just send it all in, and then I have Nebula Dragon I can shoot face with. Tennock can shoot for 1 because we've got another land in our hand as well. They've got a Focus Fire for Emissary, they've got a blocker for Starwinder, and that is still exact lethal. That is 3-1 heading into game number 5. Alright, here we are for game 5. Not a lot of decks can keep 1 land openers. This is certainly not an exception to that rule, so we have to mulligan there. We'll keep this 6. Scrapbot and Landseer for the landers. Make sure that we have the blue for the relic. Okay. So Gene Pollinator. I could play relic on turn 2 now. Zookeeper Mechan from our opponents. Starwinder for later. There we go. If Gene Pollinator does not die, we already have double blue. And of course we have the lander tokens as well. Litho Breaking. Yep, 3 mana blow up, 1 Gene Pollinator. They do not like us having a mana dork. Fair enough. Could go full fair here and bombard their mana dork. Rakdos here. I think I'm just going to scrap bot. Monoist. They're not even using the Mechan mana this turn. we draw any of our spacecraft, we have great warping shenanigans. Here's Landseeker and pass. They go land, pass, do nothing. I will certainly crack the lander token that's going to go away anyway. Get that double blue ready. Hold up a bombard. Double block, we kill both, they get a 2-2, that's perfectly fine. No blocks, menace our way through. I don't think I want to bombard Mechan against a bunch of open mana. There's an indestructible trick in black, essentially. At common. I might do it in the end step. I'm probably just playing a 7-drop here. Not having the mana open for Bombard. Sure. I'll trade Bombard for an indestructible trick. We'll see what they got here. There is no indestructible trick. Do you have removal for Landseeker? I have one problem with going for the Starwinder. And it's that if they have removal because they're Rakdos, it could be like Gravkill that could just kill the 7/7 Starwinder instead. That's still kind of bad for me. Oh, I don't actually have the 7th mana here. I have 6 out of 7 without our good friend Jean. Which means I can Germinating Worm and Plasma Bolt. I don't really care to Plasma Bolt a Monoist if I'm just hitting with Landseeker. I guess I could still warp this and try to draw 4, but that has the same issues against Gravkill, where I warp it and they can still exile it before I ever get to try to recast it fully. They haven't cast any spells for multiple turns now. Could be the Rakdos board wipe. Yeah, our board's already favored. I don't think I need to go commit any more right now. Interceptor Mechan. Yeah, this is the rough part about this set having like 10 board wipes. So it's like sometimes it feels really important to play around them, but then like if you do, your opponent could just not have the board wipe and have good value plays. But then if you don't, they always have the board wipe. Kind of frustrating, but playing this way guarantees the Starwinder here, which is nice. Draw the card too. Okay. Plasma Bolt and Interceptor Mechan. Before it gets any void triggers and gets any bigger. Could kind of force the Landseeker block that they don't want to make. And then also play a Thawbringer in the same turn. So if they don't block Landseeker, I'm drawing 4. If they do, I'm drawing 3 and keeping it now. I think the Scrapbot Chump Attack is worth it too, so that I'm guaranteed to draw some cards here. It's not exactly a Chump Attack, right? Like, it's going to be a decent trade regardless. I mean, not a horrific trade. Trading into Monos is not exactly good, but it's certainly not a chump. And our opponent's just over it. They just scoop them up there because I'm about to draw a million. No matter how they play it. And that is now 4-1, guaranteed a positive record on this draft as we head into round number 6. Got it again on the play for game 6. Solid defensive speed in this hand, 3 cheap removal spells. We don't have anything to pitch to the Self-Craft Mechan, but this looks fine for now. Timeline Color is very good against removal. You kind of just need the 3 toughness or better blocker to actually deal with it. And we're not going to have that for quite some time with this hand. They don't have the double black to play it out of exile, at least. I'm not going to hold up Bombard. The only thing black-white is going to play with haste is a timeline color, which it's actively bad to use removal on. Cool, so now I can just Plasma Bolt. Don't have the mana to play Scrap Bot plus Bolt. That would be awesome, but that's okay. Let's Bolt and save Bombard for higher toughness stuff. Scrap Bot, the reason it would be so awesome here is they do have a card engrave. That's so awkward. Their best play with 4 mana up is just the 2/2 haste. I was really hoping they would end up casting something else here. Because now things are quite awkward to where if I like Cryo Shatter the Color, they could like attack with it, warp it. I guess it wasn't technically in their grave last turn even. It was in exile ready to be warped. So we need to get this in the grave and then have them not want to do the 2-life warp yet. Oh, and then Scrap Bot it. So I can bombard it in their end step if they don't do anything else, and if they do, I bombard that instead. Doubt they're not doing anything else with 5 mana up. Is it just an all removal black-white hand? Auxiliary boosters, okay, fair enough. That is fine. Let me top deck a land and I will be the happiest camper. Any land will do. Of course, there's nothing. Scrap Bot take 3 in the sky then. Put a creature from your hand on the battlefield. This cares about casting, so if I put an artifact creature on it, doesn't trigger the emissary. Awkward little combo there. Banishing Light on Siege Ship is so fine with me right now. Considering because that's a Nombo, we don't really have anything to do with the Siege Ship. So we Cryo Shadow the Robot and Plasma Bolt the Hull Carver, and then we've dealt with the board for now. Those are also both 2 mana removal spells, which will leave me able to crack the Lander token, which is great. It is a good card to sack to the Mechan, though, and I already have 4 mana, so I could see justifying keeping the Lander token around as well. But I'll get another off the Orbital Plunge, and we have a lot of good spells we could draw into that would make us want to double spell, as well as a couple 7 mana cards. I think I will be cracking this Lander token. Lux Knight Breacher get a 4/4. They can turn into a 5-something flyer. I think 5/6, which makes it so Orbital Plunge does not get a Lander anymore. At that point, I might just plunge and not crack this Lander. Yeah. Cryogen Relic, go with the Emissary and to go with the Mechan is great. Now, I wish I did sack the Lander, but if I had sacked the Lander, I would have shuffled, which meant I wouldn't draw this Cryogen Relic. That made sacking the Lander super okay. Actually, I don't really think there's much Oh, I see. Okay, they had a void card. Never mind. Since I don't really think there's any value in warping here because of Cryo Shatter killing the robot as soon as it becomes tapped anyway. But if they have something that cares about void, then yeah, you get your void off of warping. Okay. Can cast Emissary for its full mana cost plus cast Cryogen Relic. Or I can warp the Emissary and play the Mechan and draw a card. I think these are all reasonable choices. Let's go Emissary plus Relic here. Oh wait, no, I can't. I don't have double blue. I can't double spell any of these things. Well, the Emissary Warp I can play blue or red, so I can do that line. That kind of makes the choice for me since I don't have the double blue yet. They're at 11 here. Do we just make a 2/2 flyer to start chipping in with? They have the auxiliary boosters. Which is a problem. Means that a 4/5 on the ground. Changing a 3/4 into a 4/5 might be better than changing a 1/1 flyer into a 2/2 flyer. So this can turn this into a 4 toughness creature. If they play the Enhancer, they get a +1/+1 counter on each. That'll be a 5 toughness blocker, which is too big for Mechan and too big for Scrapbot. I guess we put it on the flyer. Another red source. Gonna hold us off double spelling again. Well, I say again, we technically did double spell that turn, but it stopped us from hard casting 2 spells. Warping isn't like quite casting a whole spell worth of value. Bolt Carver plus Enhancer, very efficient turn from our opponent. Got very good blocks here, so they have no attacks till they start using the boosters again. Oh, this lack of blue is going to get real bad for me. We've got a Starwinder in hand too. Probably have to just draw the card then. This is just a 3/3 with no abilities if I play it right now. It's just setting up for maybe one more flyer later. Oh yeah, this is very bad mana. I needed to keep that lander. Okay, maybe not. Our good pal Gene could help us out. These are all the lands that we need to where if Gene Pollinator survives, next turn I can tap out for Starwinder. Am I chumping like a 5/6 flyer with a 2/2? I don't think so. I think I take the first swing here. The only thing this can block is their flyer, and their flyer is going to be whatever their biggest creature is. Yeah, boom, 5/5 flyer. Go to 6. And they can move that around to try to counteract the Cryogen Relic. Nebula Dragon's a nice draw. Plays pretty well against the boosties moving around. Get a shot on the Zealot here. Now, we certainly don't have good blockers for the Enhancer, but I have 2 different creatures I can block with, and the big concern for them with their attacks is not leaving enough blockers up themselves at that point. They're going big, alright. This could be a nasty Void trigger, but I would rather play around them playing literally any combat trick in the whole set than play around a Void card here. Because just a single extra point of power and I'm dead. A single spell that makes me lose a life and I'm dead. Really don't think I could not chump that turn. Can play Starwinder. Block there, take 6, I draw 6, but then we have risk of dying on the crack back. I think I just want to stun, draw 1, and probably play Emissary here. I still have good attacks without playing Starwinder. Oh my god, Germinating Worm is such a draw. Yeah, no, that's a huge draw. Get in there. Their blocks are quite bad. They go to 3. Alright, they have the shot still. So not quite. Alright. They have nothing they can attack or block with right now. And there's the concession for our opponent. Really great stuff from this deck. This looked like a pretty average green splashy deck here, but it has played out very, very well for us. We are now at 5-1, where we are in the money out of this event, no matter what happens from here. Alright, here we are on the play again. We've had some real great luck overall this draft so far, in terms of the play and the draw. A couple games on the draw early, but I think we've had 3 or 4 in a row now on the play. Dropping out our dirtily early little card draw artifacts. They all help our plasma bolts go pretty hard, but 2 toughness creature. Don't need to sack anything for that, but I still will sack the nutrient blocks since I'm not playing anything else this turn. Tanook. We get one of our lander producers. We've got 3 lander makers and 3 mana dorks. The mana dorks obviously don't help, but 6 pieces to ramp in the deck, 3 that combo with Tanook. Tezzy Wezzy. Probably not good. No matter what, it's a 2-for-1 just by -3ing. We have to discard a Plasma Bolt, plus they get to draw a good card out of their deck. Yeah, that would be the one time it's probably very good, which is when they have a rare 1-mana artifact to go with it. Yep, that's absolutely gnarly. Shoot, if I had played my forest earlier, I could play Tanook and then landfall kill Tezzeret, which would be so much better here. That's really awkward. Could be the punt of the game. Still think I gotta kill Tezzeret.
One loss doesn't alter my plans.
Two loyalty, threatening to put a counter on the board every turn. Maybe I didn't have to kill him. Maybe I could just play Tanook there. Hope to get pings over time. Weird card. There's Jean. And some Flood. Alright, Focus Fire currently does 3 damage to Tanook, which is not enough to kill him, so send him in. They could have the Radiant Strike. Even if they have that, I don't think I really mind, because I have no way to trigger the draw card off of Tanook in this hand, and that's the only part that really matters. Big ol' 3/5. Station the lab ship here. Cool. We are really flooding out here. This is going to be too big for Nebula Dragon. Oh, right, I couldn't play it without... I forgot how Gene Pollinator works. I was going to say the only reason to hold off on Nebula Dragon would be to hope that they play something with 3 or less toughness, which I don't think is quite worth it. But I also don't think would be the most insane play ever, so me punting and not realizing that I needed to not attack to actually play Nebula Dragon isn't really like that big of a punt. Because again, there is an argument for holding off on it, and that argument might have panned out here, because now we can kill an All-Fate Stalker. The only way we can't is if they have the 1 and a blue counter spell. Am I under enough pressure here that I can't afford to play around it? Or can I afford to just play Landseeker and pass for now? Take 7 in the sky. If I don't play Nebula Dragon right now. I'm a single mana off from playing around the counter unless I pay 2. Which means if I play Landseeker, I'm guaranteed for this to resolve through that counter spell. But I take 7 and go to 12. I'm going to take the risk here. This is a really suspicious tapping and also really suspicious waiting on the Stalker. Mechanozoa stun. Again, they could hardcast this for 6 and have the 5/5 beat stick ready to go. They are choosing to hold up 3 mana. Down to 10. Can now, jeez, can now afford the counter unless they pay 2, and I have a 4/4 to trade into their 4/4, but this could just be removal here, which would be quite bad. Had to play my land first to be able to afford to pay the 2. Gross. An indestructible trick. There's literally only one of those in blue-white. There is a hexproof trick out of blue, though. Second Mechanozoa. It is all gas, no brakes over there. They have dumped their whole hand here. See what the last draw of the game is, but we know there's nothing in our deck that changes this from here. Seems about right for that game. That is going to be 5-2 heading into game number 8. Here we are for game number 8. We're 5-2, so every game could be our last if we don't win it. And the lack of green mana in this opener is very, very concerning. Still have more green sources than everything else. There are 3 islands and 4 mountains left in the deck, which means more green sources than everything left in the deck even, not counting these. But it's still 8 out of like 33. If I don't hit it, Relic draws 2 cards trying to hit it. If I hit it, I can probably win this game with Pollinator to Nook, Worm making a stable Starwinder to finish it off. Just don't think I can gamble on hitting it though, so I'm going to take the mulligan there. I think this deck has enough little 2-for-1 pieces of card advantage here and there. And it can have a reasonable shot on a mull to 6, and this is a much better hand mana-wise. Gonna ditch one other removal spells. Should probably choose Plasma Bolt in case Pollinator dies, then I still have more stuff to do. Relic is a great draw, making sure I have 3 mana on this board. So now I'll have 4 mana next turn. I could Orbital Plunge and crack that lander soon. Sure. Honestly think I am interested enough in the lander token to just plunge a Navigator even. Thin some lands out of the deck, have enough mana for anything we draw into very quickly. Ovoid Operative. We do draw land for turn. Seed Ship and crack a lander. Pollinate this operative. Not pollinate it, Cryo Shatter this operative. Play Seed Ship. Yeah, I do kind of just want to stop damage for now. Seems fine. The Cryo Shatter doesn't stop good abilities anyway. Let's get board wiped. After the mulligan, shall we? We are playing completely off the top already. We can get 1 land out of our lander token and 1 draw off of our relic. Bright Sphere Zealot says hello. There's Nebula Dragon that we are 1 mana off from playing for now. Lock it in next turn. I guess this doesn't have to tap to attack, so I probably should have just main phase Relic before I did anything else to see what I draw. Because I will be cracking it here. The only reason to hold off on Relic would be in case they play a Spacecraft, they want to station with this Zealot. If the Zealot ends up tapped, it's worth the wait for the stun counter, but that's unlikely because it has Vigilance. So I probably should have done that first thing. There are some draws that I would want to play there instead of stationing with these pollinators. This game is not looking super good. Like, I'm not under a ton of pressure, but our opponent's also under 0 pressure, which allows them to get full 3-for-1 value out of Codecracker Hound. I think they are playing a bunch of good value draw spells. Station 7, you say? So this will get it fully stationed. And then it'll play the Mechan for free, sacking a tapped Pollinator. Face for the operative. Just face. Okay, they have the 1 mana removal, so they have deal 4 in their hand. Four or 5 against the 2/4. Got a 2/1 that we know of. Castable Plasma Bolt off the draw, but I feel I need to save that. So Focus Fire, 2 damage to an attacker blocker, +1 for each creature and Spacecraft they have. So that's 4 damage now. It's 5 damage once the Hound is down, so we will have to bolt the Hound, even if it's not the best deal ever, just to lower them off of the Focus Fire damage from killing Seed Ship. I guess there was an argument for putting the Mechan counter on the Dragon to help play around the Focus Fire as well at that point. Yeah, actually would have played better for us, but I could send the Mechan in 2 here. And they could only kill one of the 2. So they kill Nebula Dragon or they kill Mechan. Is it crazy to attack with only mech in here? Not Nebula Dragon? They're dead to me attacking with both next turn. I feel like that's actually somewhat reasonable. But if they have like a completely different card here, this is gonna suck. Perfect. Yeah, no, that's much better against exactly Focus Fire. Because now they don't have the Focus Fire and I have Lethal Flying. Well, there's Banishing Light anyway. Yikes. That's something. That's very far from being stationed. That is something. So far from being stationed, in fact, that I don't want to cast it against nothing I want to kill. Another 3-for-1 value Warper. They get a 3/2 flyer and they draw 2 cards. Plains and a 1-mana creature. They have one. Big ol' Gigastorm Titan and some Flood for us. They are already dead to 1 kill ship swing, so it might be reasonable to station the 1 power there. But they also don't have good blocks for the Pollinator, so I'm pretty sure I get the damage in. Or I just get rid of a chump block for anything I draw into later. Double Codecracker Hound. The third 3-for-1 they've cast this game. The Infiltrator to draw a bunch of cards every time it hits me, and it hits me every time they double spell, which is very easy with the amount of 3-for-1 warp plays they've been running out here. Well, now Pollinator's not doing anything. I guess by stationing with Pollinator, I'm allowing them to send an Infiltrator before they've cast 2 spells to kind of force me to chump block with Nebula Dragon. But the fact of the matter is that if they really want to hit me with Infiltrator and draw the card, they are so guaranteed to double spell every turn anyway. Okay, no 1-drop creatures in their deck for Shepherd at least, so it's just 2 planes and a 3/2 flyer. Scrapbot is not the worst here. It's relatively high power for the kill ship, and it thins a land out of this deck to help our draws. But as you can see, our opponent has also, well, not also, I don't think we've drawn that many spells, but our opponent has drawn a million spells. Also is definitely not the right word. They only have 11 cards left. Did they ever self-mill? Is that all just pure card draw? Okay, they did. It's a Squadron Ace at least. Oh wait, no, those all go to the bottom. Wow, that was just all draw. That's insane. Exosuit Savior can pick up one of their multiple 3-for-1s. They could also just pick up the Operative to get the Cryo Shatter off of it. I don't think that's really as good, but they are low on cards. I guess the Code Crackers have milled them an extra card every time they played those. That makes sense. How they're so low on cards here. Probably have another Focus Fire in their hand. If they do, they have Focus Fire for 6, which would still be dead to removal. I blow up their flyer, then station the kill ship and attack, and I have 7 toughness because they have 4 creatures left after a removal spell. So Focus Fire wouldn't save them against removal. Removal is straight up like the one chance here. We top deck that. They don't have good enough interaction and they die. That is our hope. We're going to thin the deck out a little towards that hope. Okay. Hopefully they're just relying on a Focus Fire. But I imagine it's going to be something better. And they're going to not die here, which means we're going to die on a couple crackbacks. Tap it, draw a card. Embarrassing that that'll work here. They only have 8 power on the board. Not dead yet. But we don't really have outs now. Unless their hand is just blanks, it's just 6 basics. Then technically if I hit removal again, I kill Shepherd and then kill them. But that's tremendously unlikely. Yep, Cryogen Relic does it. Stun the kill ship, attack twice, and we're dead. Yeah. Rough game. I don't think we drew, like, particularly terribly. I think our second loss was the only game that we drew, like, really bad. Like, maximum flood in our second loss. It's just that our opponent had incredible value in this deck. Getting the Mythic Uncommon Codecracker Hound in multiples for value, as well as the Starfield Shepherd. Again, just, you know, triple 3-for-1 to this game. Off of a slower hand, because our deck is slower in general, so we don't apply much pressure to them. They just need to set all that stuff up and go pretty ham with it. Play it out here. You never know what'll happen. But pretty locked for that loss here. 99.9% chance. Would take a massive punt from our opponent now, even if we drew perfectly. Tractor beam the kill ships, they know they don't die to that. Poke for 4, we can't block at all. Focus Fire Landseeker here, I guess. Some kind of combat trick, maybe. You are free to draw another card. Yeah, Focus Fire, sure. That would kill the absolute heck out of it on attacks anyway. Three cards left in their deck, but we are not going to get another 3 turns here. It's possible we're getting another 1 turn. 6 life, 4, 5, 6, 7 power on their board. I think I can attack. I want to, but I don't think I can. because then we're dead to one removal spell, but if I don't attack, we're only dead to double removal. Which buys us one more turn to maybe draw something that delays things long enough for them to mill. Again, I don't think there's anything good enough for that, but might as well try it. There's one piece of interaction. Do they have the double? Otherwise, we take 5, go to 1. And they're down to 1 card in their deck if they swing out like that. Actually, no, they can't attack with Infiltrator. Unless it's a lethal attack. So if they don't have the removal here, they just attack with Shepherd, Scion Assist, and Gale Blade. Okay, so they must have the trick for lethal here then. Otherwise, this is just a punt. Lose the game from that card draw. Hold. I don't think we could win that game if they didn't attack with Infiltrator there. That's so lucky. I said exactly what needed to happen for us to win that game. We need to draw perfectly and they need to punt, and then it happened. Ooh. Wow. Wild stuff. Too much Codecracker Hound value comes back to bite them because of the self-mill that it does as well. That was absolutely insane. But we're still in it. That means instead of 5 and 3, we're 6 and 2, which means we've made it all the way to the final battle with this deck. We've only got one shot at it. We've only got one life here. But that is an absolute banger of a draft. Great rewards no matter what. And we got to play out the maximum number of games of Magic here, heading into game number 9. Here we are for game 9, another non-green opener. That is going to be a quick mulligan this time. We have done the spiel about this a few times now, so you all understand this is a clear mulligan for this deck. I have done the spiel and then kept the hand one time because it had multiple pieces of cheap removal out of the red and then like card draw out of the blue, but this does not. Oh. Oh. Final boss is going to be a difficult one here. It's not a particularly good hand, and it had some major mana risks now. It already solved those mana risks, but it's still, again, not a particularly good hand. It's just not one we can afford to mulligan down to 5 to try to find something better. Aggressive start from our opponent's blue-black deck here. Gene Pollinator is fashionably late. Which is annoying. Play Scrapbot, I get to play Pollinator and Bombard next turn and then Worm the turn after that. And that is a good curve out to try to stabilize. Scrapbot trading a Shieldmate for now is fine. Creeping Tar Pit, incredible card. All the man lands are fantastic. The lands that turn themselves into creatures and then beat in. Creeping Tar Pit, potentially the best one. It might be tied with Celestial Colonnade. The two blue ones, really, that are hard to block. This one literally unblockable. Celestial Colonnade turns into a 4/4 flying with Vigilance. So that one also basically unblockable. Those are just really good. Alright, this is the most aggressive blue-black deck I've seen so far in the set. But we've got a 5/5 that gains us some more life to help stabilize with later. We've got the Bombard for now. Tempted to hold off on the Bombard to potentially kill this Tar Pit. So Fell Graveship. Flying Lifelinker will be impossible to race if they just start stationing that. Pick up a Navigator and cast that this turn. Man, yeah, their deck is just rolling in right now. Excuse me. They have Navigator plus Grav Ship combo too, so they can station with Navigator every turn, even if they can't get good attacks in. Ooh, that's so awkward. Our opponent's just doing incredible things. Yeah, and even in full control mode, even holding priority, your opponent has first priority, so they're guaranteed to draw and discard at least once off of that Wombo combo. Yeah, this is almost like the dream hand from a blue-black artifact aggro deck. Now, that's not the kind of deck you're going to see that often, but they're playing exactly those kind of synergies. This is the hand you want. They have a guaranteed Mechanizoa next turn, which triggers Shieldmate and stuns one of their blockers. They have a Grav Ship that they're stationing up with it as well for flying and lifelink. If they flood out, which is very unlikely off of that drawn discard, they have a Creeping Tar Pit to finish me off. This is just incredible work from our opponent's deck thus far. Save Cryo Shatter for the lifelinker, I think. Watch them also have like the blue-black board wipe rare. Just a super brutal deck. Nope. Full artifact aggro for now. Mechanizoa. Gets the stun, gets the bash. We're back down to 12. We're fine from some Germinating Worm life gain. Work on that Grav Ship. Then get it to the full 8, but that would actually be good for me, because now I can Cryo Shatter it. Orbital Plunge, a great draw too. Quite close to stable, actually. If they have something that can return one of these to their hand, it'd be really bad for me either way. I think Grav Ship, because it has the better enter effect, is slightly scarier. So let's kill that one, and then Cryo Shatter the Mechanizoa. The problem is they're also in black, so they could also have something to like bring it back from grave. In which case we could get punished like either way. Am I tapping here? Tap this, then I can tap both of these and crack a lander next turn. But then I deal 3 less damage for now. I think I just take the swing while I can for 3. Well, I am at 12. If they play an artifact, Shieldmate coming in is bad, but if they don't play an artifact, can't really block Hole Carver or Tar Pit anyway. I could just tap the second lander. What am I talking about? Pretend I wasn't dumb and very slow there. I can do that and then still have a Pollinator up and crack this other lander. Oh wait, no! I'm double dumb because this Pollinator needs something to tap. But this Pollinator can tap Cryo Shatter. Oh my lord. Okay, I thought the dream hand stopped, but it continues. That's incredible to top off this curve. A 4/4 flying finish that gives something -4 because of the amount of artifacts they have on board. Just incredible stuff from our opponent. Get a blue source. God, we take 8 for that. Circuit feeder. And a land for us. I'm just dead in the sky. Wow. Alright. Incredible stuff from our opponent's deck there. Again, I don't think the hand was like horrific or anything. Also, or not also, but obviously we mulliganed and then kept a very mid opener. But we drew perfectly fine, had a reasonable hand for most games, but our opponent just had an exceptional one there. Beautiful stuff from that blue-black artifact aggro deck. Oh my god, they had double tar pits? Jesus! And they had a weft walking too if they ran out of spells? My god, alright. We didn't even see their scariest cards. That is an incredible deck from that opponent. Don't mind losing to that. 6 and 3 it'll be from a pretty average green splashy deck here. You know, if the draft pod does not supply you with any really strong rares and stuff, you just get some of the more mid-rangey, build-aroundy ones, then I think this is a very respectable record for this kind of deck. Okay, we did have the Starwire. This was absurd, but I kind of forgot about it because we really did the thing twice, and that was it. We played 9 games of Magic. I think we played this 2 games, but maybe we played it in 3. Certainly not the majority of games or anything. Yeah, this was fun. This played better than I thought it would because, again, it's a very average green splashy deck, but we had some fun little synergies going for it. The pollinators really enjoyed the relic and the nutrient block, and they helped us go for the full 3 color here. Just a few lander tokens, but the pollinators make up for that. Make sure we still have plenty of fixing and ramp. Not a ton of top end, but the top end we had was really good. Yeah, I think this deck was super reasonable. The Pinnacle Emissary combo stuff was probably going a little bit too deep. I think upgrading this deck to a potential 7 winner, honestly, it only needed to be a slight bit luckier to 7 win this draft, but to be a deck that could like consistently 7 win, I could see like cutting an Emissary, nutrient block, and a Thawbringer for like 3 better, more powerful creatures throughout the curve, and that would be close. Like 1 bomb creature, 1 Galactic Wayfarer, 3 mana, 3/3 that makes a lander token, 1 Terra Pact Intimidator at 2 mana would be awesome in this deck. But it was close. It still did pretty great. Still got us tons of value here, very much in the money out of today's draft. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and are interested in seeing some more like it, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send us more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.